What's up, guys and gals? Welcome to another episode of
Rob.
What's the Diff? Today we have a special episode for you for a segment called What About This?
What about this?
What about this? We'll each bring a topic to the table for an open discussion.
Yes.
Let's get open.
Yeah, let's get open with each other.
Let's open up.
I am Jolly Josh. With me today is Conundrum Keenan and Cruisin' Cully.
Ooh. Like cruising coffee.
He's cruising through life.
Yep.
It's just so easy for him.
Life in the fast lane.
He's in a bumper car, just fucking bumping and everything and cruising down the highway.
Oh, that'd be so fucking
Get out of my way. You got
That
little
would be
magnetic
fun.
rails pushing you along. Just cruising, dude.
Dude, bumper cars bugged the shit out of me when I was a kid because if you turn like super far one way, then it just like it was hard. It was hard to figure out as a kid. And so I would be the one in the corner, like smashing into the wall myself because I couldn't figure out how to drive.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, just
Overturning.
fucking go straight. And then you turn it with like 180 real quick. And you're like,
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
Oh, and then someone, like, while you're trying to figure it out, will just bump you into the wall still.
Yeah, and then you're
just
stuck.
Like, let me out.
They're like, oh, this is so fun.
I'm not having fun. I'm not attacking anyone.
So I guess I'll go first on this.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
My topic is, I guess, how do I word this? Is superstition a form of spirituality or religion?
Ooh. That-
So, yeah, I was watching Sunday Night Football, Sunday night, which was last night. I
On
was watching
Sunday.
Football.
Maybe. Might have been last night.
Sunday
you
day,
don't
it was
know.
Sunday day football.
It was
And,
one of the Sundays.
I don't know if any of the Seattle guys caught the game out there, but the last field goal to tie the game was blocked by a guy on the defensive line. He jumped over the line, blocked the ball, and then somebody ran it back for a touchdown, which is crazy. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And
yes.
right before
Sport
that,
things.
I said, "Don't worry, guys, he's not gonna miss."
Ah.
My roommate, who was really into football, was actually mad about it for a second because I jinxed it,
You
and I was like,
jinxed it.
"Okay, yeah, that is pretty crazy because how the hell did that happen?"
Did you then owe him a Coke?
No,
Oh.
I didn't jinx him. I jinxed it.
Ah. Did he jinx? Did
Did I?
Yo, the Seahawks Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably do. But the thing is, like, oh, what if somebody else said it? Because I knocked on wood, and knocking on wood is supposed to eliminate it.
Yeah.
So I think somebody else somewhere else said it.
But that in and itself is a superstition.
I didn't do that. They made me do that. They said, knock on wood. You knock on wood right now.
Yeah. So there's.
And then I said it again. They said, you knock on wood again. I said,
there's
okay.
two right there. Like
But I kept knocking on wood.
Yeah, and it somehow
Never-
just didn't work.
never stop. That
So,
almost fell. That was.
yeah. So I was
Insane.
thinking we should get some coasters.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I told Sam, I was like, nah, I don't really believe in that stuff because, like, you think I have an impact on this game? You think just little Keenan has an impact on professional football? I think more so it was the person playing the game.
You could.
And I think that it comes down to people not having control over something, but like it gives them a sense that they do in a weird way, which is kind of what, for me, like my perspective on religion is control over
Ooh.
death, control, you know what I mean? And spirituality is like voodoo dolls, control over like people's will, like the whole thing. So I was like, this is
Yeah.
actually pretty interesting. So what is superstition?
What is it?
Hold
What
on.
is it?
Superstitions refer to beliefs or practices that stem from ignorance, fear of the unknown, or trust in magic or chance.
Mm.
It often involves the idea of certain actions, events, jinxing things, objects like voodoo dolls, that maybe they can influence or predict the future, even though there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. There's no study supporting any of it. But it's interesting. And I see a lot of like people that like sports into superstitions, but they're not spiritual people. Like they're just, you know what I mean? Like they're just I
Yeah,
don't know.
they're not outwardly like religious.
Yeah,
They're just saying like, oh, don't eat a banana and then jump 3 times because you'll miss a half-court shot. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not a thing.
But
But,
problem, maybe.
but don't do it. Don't.
That's the
you'll
thing
find
too
out.
is like it could be individual like rituals that are a superstition too.
Yeah.
But like common examples wouldn't be breaking a mirror, bringing 7 years of bad luck.
Yep.
4-leaf clover is good luck.
Yep.
In baseball, like in sports, stepping on the foul lines on either side while you're exiting the field, bad luck.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, step on the crack, break your mother's back.
Mm.
What else? There's so many. Like black
Oh,
cats,
under,
walking under a ladder.
Don't
Yeah.
don't bring bananas on boats. That's one, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
It's like a fishing one, like back in the day. Like it's bad luck to have a woman on board in the ship
Yeah.
days, into pirate days. But it's also bad luck to have a banana on board.
What if it's a girl eating banana?
I don't know. Well, then,
Jesus Christ.
then you should hopefully be in port.
Davy Locker be damned.
Yeah.
No wonder they had scurvy.
Yeah. Well, they had oranges once they figured it out.
Yeah, once they were just like, oh, it's the oranges.
I was like, my teeth are falling out for some reason.
It's because you're superstitious.
So, in sports, what are some examples? Okay, so the whole thing about this is like, it's really common in sports. It's super normal. It's a common thing. Jinxing something like I just did is common. Like, it's an idea that has been brought on for hundreds of years through sports, even though it makes no sense. I mean, like logically.
Right.
But a lot of
it
athletes
doesn't do anything.
Like you don't. There's no physical connection to
Yeah.
It's not a real thing. It's like that's why I'm like sounds pretty fucking spiritual to me. Like it's believing the same thing as voodoo dolls. But many athletes have like a certain routine they follow, like wearing a certain pair of socks, eating something particular, having a certain song they have to have playing to hype them up, or that might not be like a superstition, but it is like a ritual, which can lead into superstitions. People have like lucky objects, wristbands, jerseys, certain items they keep on them when they're playing, jewelry. They avoid bad omens, like stepping on the foul lines or talking about, like what I just did, like talking about someone succeeding in something. For me, and then they don't because you said they would. For me, like I was snowboarding and this is like a real danger thing. So I was like, fuck. But someone was like, oh man, we're so going to get caught in an avalanche right now. And I was like, what the fuck? We're
Why
about
did
to
you
go
say-
down in the backcountry in a steep terrain. And someone said, we're going to get caught in a fucking avalanche. And I was like, that's fucked.
I wouldn't want to board with them. I'd
I
be like,
never did.
That's bad
again,
juju.
Yeah.
really.
No,
Or it's like
thanks.
same thing as like don't get hurt. Don't break your leg before I go like dirt biking. I'm like, dude, why would you say that?
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, it doesn't make any fucking sense. But
Well, but it kind of,
it's like
It's
I'd
sort of
rather just not have that said.
yeah, and it kind of leaves like a subconscious thought in your brain. Like you probably weren't thinking about the avalanche, but now in the back of your head, you're like, fuck, what if we are caught in an avalanche?
Exactly. And for me, it's like when I'm doing the activity and somebody says something about that, like I get in my head about it, and sometimes manifestation, right?
Yeah.
When I'm looking at a game that millions of other people are also watching, I don't think that has an impact on it. But I do think that you can create this placebo in your own head if it's like something you're doing personally.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was an athlete and that was being said to me, I would get it maybe, That's, yeah. Regardless, none of it makes logic. Like it doesn't have any logic to it.
I think a lot of it's born out of coincidence too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody has like a necklace they have, or fucking the movie Cool Runnings, the guy in the back, Sanka, he has his lucky egg that he like has in his pants. Like maybe he just happened to have an egg on him and something went good for him, so he's like, oh, it has to be this egg. Like it's all
Yeah.
coincidental, but
Well, yeah, placebo, right? Like
it's
just
yeah,
believing
it's
in
a
something.
placebo effect. So he's like, well, now, okay, cool. I got something good happen to me when I had this egg in my pants. Now I have to have the egg in my pants.
And that's like rabbit's foots too. Like,
Yeah,
or
it's the same thing.
certain rocks and gemstones have this like certain luck to them, so people will like wear them on a backpacking trip or something.
No, that
to stay
rock
safe.
shit. Rocks are
Crystals.
magical.
Crystals. So yeah. So anyway, I said, oh, he's not gonna miss this. He's a great kicker. Didn't miss it. It just got blocked. But after that, I was like, what the fuck? That is actually crazy that I just said that and that happened. Like, and I don't believe I have any control over that. But fucking, we don't know how the universe works, so who knows?
Right, you didn't manifest that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like kind of the same thing with like plays and stuff. They're like break a leg, which is actually like good luck. Like they want you to do like the opposite, like don't break a leg.
Exactly.
Like
So the opposite of jinxing.
Broadway
Yeah.
stage shows, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's like this almost like breathing into the world of manifestation of something bad to happen. The opposite should then hopefully happen.
Yeah,
You're
so you
not gonna
say
break
like,
a leg.
dude, he's so gonna miss this.
Yeah. But then like if you did that and that happened, then
yeah.
people would be like, dude.
But as a definition, jinxing, like you were saying, is saying something too confidently and too prematurely that something good's gonna happen, and then like, or like if it looks like it's gonna rain, you say, "Fuck, it's gonna rain," and then it rains. It's like, dude, why'd you say that? You know what I mean?
Well, because it's gonna fucking rain.
Yeah, you can see the clouds.
If it
You
got-
can smell
no,
the
it
air.
wasn't gonna rain until you said that.
It was.
But yeah, so that's what jinxing is, which is also a part of superstition. Essentially, it's the belief that simply mentioning something favorable or predicting success causes the opposite effect. So yeah, like there's no way we're gonna lose now, and then you lose. You fucking jinxed it.
Well, back at my college, we just call that cooging it.
Cooging it.
Yeah, it's when there's no way that you should be able to lose, and somehow you find a way.
Cougs.
That makes sense.
Cooging it.
That's a Coogan thing.
So the idea of jinxing is that it's often tied to the fear of tempting fate, which is superstitious, right? So it specifically involves the power of words or actions. Unlike the Lucky Charms thing or rituals, jinxing focuses on the immediate result of what jinxing it, or immediate result of what you said. Yeah, and I was like thinking like, okay, I feel like, yeah, like I said earlier, people just want kind of like a power, even if they have no power. Like none of us have power over the football game that's happening with millions of people watching. Like the people playing do, and the coaches. But as an outsider who's like faithful to a team that wants them to win, you think like you might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Which, bringing it back to with the whole religion thing, at first I was having a hard time finding the connection, but then I started to think about it. You know how these religions, they'll have rules, and if you don't follow these rules, you'll like go to hell. You'll be like a sinner, and it's almost like kind of the same.
You're a
thing.
bad fan if you jinx it. You know.
Yeah. Like you have some way or shape or form that this higher power, whatever you are doing, will have this effect. Which I mean, with religion, it's more of an effect on yourself rather than like this outwardly thing. Which, you know, that might be kind of part of the spirituality part of it with like, you know, manifestation. You manifest this thing and eventually it will come.
I do think if like I'm saying, if I am playing and I have a jinx happen to me while I'm snowboarding, while I'm playing baseball, whatever it is, like that maybe would raise my anxiety, make me think about it too much, and I get in my head, placebo, and things would go downhill because I lost that energy, momentum, or whatever it might be. But so I do think maybe like placebo effect, if you are the athlete, that would have an effect for sure. Like if I walked in and I believed that stepping on the line was bad luck, and I looked down and I was like, fuck, I stepped on the line and I'm pitching. Like, fuck, I'm going to be in my head about it maybe.
Yeah.
I don't personally really, but I know people that were pretty into it. So maybe superstitions are just like a coping mechanism to handle the stress of either watching the game or being in it and helping give you perceived power or control over situations you really don't have control over, which is what religion is. Like you don't have control over what happens when you die.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know?
I mean, you know, with religion, yeah, like you're saying, it's like, oh, but you do. Like if you don't do this, this, and this, then, you know, you'll go off to this nice place.
Yeah, so in life, it gives you control, and you can predict, you can tell what's going to happen when you die because you're, you know, a follower of this religion, follower of this superstition.
It's kind of just like an outline on how to live your life as a quote unquote good person in accordance with your church, like whatever church you may be a part of. Like it's just a good way to live your life, to not be an a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
but I guess the part I'm focusing on is like the reassurance that you'll be okay, and like trying to gain sense of control and comfort over a situation that you don't.
Okay, so
as a fan, like trying to get comfort and control over a game that you have no control over, but it feels better to know like that you didn't jinx something or you did your rituals, and so you're helping control it somehow.
Yeah, you did your part.
Yeah.
Do your part.
Do your part.
But yeah, I mean, the whole idea of it is it seems spiritual. You're doing something to control something you don't understand that can't be seen or perceived. It's just this like spiritual plane, like that I have a connection to that. So whenever I hear people like talking about that and watching games, it sounds similar to me as like karma. You know what I mean? Like you're believing in something like either Buddhist or religious or spiritual, something like that. It sounds like you think that you have control for something. And so for me, it's not much different. I don't know. Just looking at it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. There's been times where I'm with people that are really into sports, and I'm sitting in a certain spot, and something good happens, and they're like, "You cannot move from that spot, ever." And then, you know, I go up and I go get some food or something, and then something bad happens, and they're like, "Why'd you move? Why'd you move?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Calm down. I had to piss."
Yeah, it's super interesting because, like I said, like a lot of people that watch sports that I know are like, just dudes that like watching sports. They're if you're like, look at these crystals, they'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I'm like, wait.
Yeah, I'm
they
wearing
would
my
say that's
jersey.
stupid, but they have their own jersey and they sit in their special chair and they like have to have a certain
Exactly.
snack. Like they
And you
have their
can't-
own.
So that's why I
routine.
see that and I
It's
see the
funny.
conundrum of it all. Conundrum Keenan. And I'm just like, yeah, it's funny. And I'm sure that people like girls that like crystals see guys that are in the sports and are like, what the fuck? How are you going to hate on me if you're doing this?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
okay, yeah. That's kind of what I was
It is
thinking.
the same
Yeah.
state of mind.
And what did fucking Stevie Wonder say?
I'm
You be-
blind.
You believe in things that you don't understand and you suffer.
Hmm.
Superstition. So, I mean,
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Superstitious.
I think both basically humans have the desire to predict things and not have control. So it's kind of what it seems like for me. Like we're like, God damn it, I wish I want to have some control over this game that I can't control because I really want to win, but like, so I'm gonna do everything I can in my power. Yeah.
Well,
And like same with the crystal rocks. It's like I want to have control over my life, so I'm gonna like chant this Buddhist prayer and rub this rock every morning, and hopefully it brings me certain like bountiful feelings and gifts,
Well, kind of the opposite
whatever you care about.
of it too, I guess, like in a positive way. As a player, instead of being like, oh, I stepped on the line or I stepped on the seal, the logo of the team, like, I'm going to pitch
Yeah.
poorly. You could say to yourself, oh, well, I have my grandpa up there who's always supported me in this, he's in heaven or wherever you want him to be. Like, but he's here with me and he will help me. And so that's kind of, it's like a positive way
Yeah.
to spin that instead of just being like, I stepped on a line, I'm fucked. You're like, well, I have my grandpa with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of like baseball players, they hit a home run, they come home, they do like the, go to God because
Yeah.
God gave them that power to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like you can see right there, like that's their ritual, and they're tying it directly to religion. So religion has a strong influence on how people play,
Yeah.
their thinks as to why they're good. Maybe like this talent was given me by God, and like this situation I needed to hit a home run, and God gave me that power. You know what I mean? So I do think they're like the same exact realm of things.
Yeah.
I just never thought about it like that until yesterday.
Yeah, I will say that when I'm watching sports, I don't really care much for superstitions. I'll still follow them just so like other people, like I mean, just like the general ones, right? Like knock on wood if like you're saying something like that. Do I believe that that's actually happening? No, I have no
Absolutely
rhyme
not.
or reason.
Yeah.
But exactly what you're saying. If I'm doing a sport, or I mean, I don't do sports really anymore. I mean, I do climbing and stuff where more of that's just like don't die, don't die, don't die.
Yeah. But if I was like, break a leg, you'd be like, dude. Or if I said, dude, don't break a leg today, please.
Like,
You're going to fall and snap your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I'm doing something that's dangerous, I'm like, just for shits and giggles, don't say that.
yeah,
Like, I think you could get in your head about it.
yeah.
I do think so. I think
For-
getting in your head while you're doing it.
Yeah, I will say that since that's not like, I mean, that's not really a team sport thing, but like the closest team sport thing, which I mean, luckily it's something that's emerging, is like esports. The biggest one for me is Rocket League. Whenever we're coming back from like a deficit, like a 4-point deficit, and we're starting to score, every single time I'm just like, don't call it a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. We got this. Don't call it a comeback. And it works.
Call it a comeback.
Like it just gives this like extra mentality of just like, this might not be the comeback that we're looking for, but we got to keep going, keep playing, keep
Yeah.
going.
Well, it's kind of like don't get cocky too.
Yeah.
Because exactly.
Oh yeah, here's a comeback. Haha, we're gonna win. It's like, no, okay, you just fucked it over.
And
you
we got Braziled.
and you yeah. I was Braziled. Brazilian waxes for everybody.
I would love to have that. Hopefully.
Ow.
Yeah, that sounds so painful. I don't want to do that. Wasn't that one of your guys's?
It was Sam's, and he only got one pull.
Oh, that'd be so weird.
Sam's a hairy man.
He should have at least had like a landing strip or something.
Dude, he couldn't. Did you see the videos? He was in so much pain.
Yeah,
So
that's
much
why I
pain.
wouldn't want to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a baby.
That's why. That's why I didn't choose it. It was that or the calendar, and I chose the calendar.
Oh, all right, I'll do it. Fine, you guys have convinced me.
no! Oh.
Aw.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah. So you guys want to know/talk about multiverses?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm not
Sounds
talking about
cool.
the video game. I'm talking about the concept.
What's the video game?
Or like Marvel.
Yeah, is it Marvel? I think it's
Well,
like Warner
Marvel's-
Brothers. I think, but it's like it's basically like Super Smash Bros. But
Oh,
with
you're talking
those
about
characters.
that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I looked at some of the notes about different like multiverse theories. So I'm gonna bring up 3 multiverse theories, but a little bit I guess about multiverses that we should kind of like talk about. Like a concept is infinite set of numbers does not contain every value. And
Wait.
so that's to say, when it comes to like multiverse theory, there's this thought that, basically anything could be possible in any reality, but we know that that's probably not the case. Even if you have an infinite set of numbers, it doesn't mean that every single number is in that set. There's a chance that it could be, but it doesn't mean that definitively there is. So what they said, for example, is like looking at the show Rick and Morty. They do a lot of stuff with the multiverse, but that doesn't mean that there's a universe that actually has like a set parameter. Like there's not a universe that has one of the characters, Rick, have like 20 penises or something.
Why was that the first thought?
I don't know. I couldn't
Okay.
think of something wild.
He said or something.
or
That's pretty-
something. I don't know. Maybe 19 penises.
Or 20
Okay,
maybe.
now we're getting ridiculous.
Sorry, only even numbers.
Sorry, this is just too low.
Another thing is that there is levels of multiverse. I found this on Wikipedia.
What is that?
Yeah, Wikipedia. Support your local Wikipedia.
Your local.
So there's different levels, 4 to be exact. Level 1, an extension of our universe. And, they didn't really dive into this because it's Wikipedia, and they're like, read more, and I wasn't gonna. So I don't have a lot more information of an extension of our universe.
That's okay.
I feel like it's like basically the same thing as our universe, but like slightly different. So I think I haven't watched like the Marvel movies, but they did combine like all the Spider-Mans together. And so I feel like that would be kind of like level 1 is that, there's these universes where they have Spider-Man in them and they're kind of similar to each other. Like, they all have New York and, there's probably like Washington, D.C. somewhere.
So an extension of our universe. Maybe like just given the values and parameters that our universe allows.
Yeah. That's a really good one because level 2, universes with different physical constants. So, I mean, like the speed of light could be different. Gravitational pulls could be pulling differently. Black holes might not pull as much as usual. The speed of sound is different. Those kind of different constants that we usually have in our universe, it would be different there.
Yeah.
And so that's where you can get all these different things, which I think also that show Rick and Morty can kind of do. Like, for example, the planet that they go to where the sun is just screaming every single day.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably a different physical constant.
I would think so.
Yeah. Level 3 is many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which this is actually something I'll go into first off of one of the theories I wanted to bring of the multiverse. And then level 4 basically just talks about these different kinds of ones. So ultimate ensemble. Brian Greene's 9 types of multiverses include quilted, inflationary, brain, cyclic.
It's cyclic,
Yeah. I don't like that.
but like cycles, yeah.
Yeah. Landscape, quantum, holographic, simulated, and ultimate. So, I mean, there's so many different theories when it comes to the multiverse. It just blows my mind. The idea is explore various dimensions of space, physical laws, and mathematical structures to explain the existence and interactions of multiple universes. So let's start off with this first one, the many worlds theory. So this one, like I said, uses quantum physics to kind of explain things. And so physics in general, it uses models to help translate mathematical equations to situations. Determine the trajectory of a cannonball that's shot at a certain angle, how hard you have to pull on a pulley system to lift a certain object, the speed that a car can go around a corner when it's raining, all these different things. Physics helps us understand. Quantum physics models can be a little bit different. So the example that they gave is there's a quantum physics model that has an electron in a system. Sorry, there's a microphone on my way. So they have this equation to determine the position of the electron after a certain amount of time. So using this equation, what do you think would be the result?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
You lost me at math.
Okay, so you have this object in a system, Coley.
Yeah.
And you have this equation that tells you after a certain amount of time what the new position of this object is. So what do you think what the result would be?
That it would be in a new position?
Yeah. So that's like the thing, is that you would have this one definitive...
I did it.
This one definitive answer that you would have this one object and it would be in this certain place. Quantum physics says that it can actually be in an infinite number of possible positions.
Yeah.
Each one has basically described as an amplitude, which just means like its level of chance for that object to be in that position. And so like another example is like you see a kid bouncing a basketball. You know, when he bounces the ball, it's in that one position. But with quantum physics, that kid could actually be in every single position of the court bouncing that ball at the same time. We just found ourselves in the universe where that kid is in that same spot bouncing that ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking... trying to wrap your brain around just anything that's infinite is insane.
Yeah.
I think
Like, you can't.
I think almost all these universes too don't have people in them or life.
Yeah.
I think they do. I think there's an infinite amount of universes out there right now that has another podcast that's doing exactly this.
I think in our
With slight differences.
extension of ours, whatever it was called, but I think in most circumstances the chance of life is so small that it wouldn't make sense. I think there's a fucking infinite number that do have us, but out of that infinite number, the percentage is so small.
Yeah, which that is the thing that kind of like blows my mind. And so why I came up with this is like there's been a couple of times where I'll be driving and I have to make a quick decision, like a deer walks in the road or like someone crosses over the line or something.
Hit it.
And I get out of the way and I'm safe. And I'm like, oh crap, another reality me just died because they didn't. And then it's like thinking of all the infinite possibilities of that. And the fact of like how fast I could have been going in a different universe, might have been slower, might have been faster. The position of my car could be literally a millimeter to the right or left, but there's a universe that probably has that happening.
And almost all the universes out there, you don't even exist because your parents didn't meet. So of those universes, the ones you are alive is a very small section of the ones your parents met where humans were even alive. It's just like infinitesimal.
But how the hell do you put a percentage on anything that's infinite?
You can't, but that's the only word we have to describe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean that's also crazy to think
Portion.
that there's different like infinite is, you know, infinity. It goes on forever. But there's like certain infinites that are actually bigger than other infinites,
Yeah, that's weird.
which is just wild.
That just isn't. I can't even like. It doesn't compute.
Yeah,
in my
like
brain.
it's like what Keenan's saying. It's like I think that there is probably more universes where we all don't exist. This whole planet Earth and humans just are not around. Organic matter could be completely different. That's like the majority of them.
Yeah.
But then we also have all of our universes that have us and things are just slightly different, or something major could be different. Like, you know, America was never founded for whatever reason. No one ever searched for America, and there's this continent that's just full of some people on it, mostly animals, and the US just never existed.
Ugh, if only.
There's a universe where there was a tsunami that killed all of England and they never explored anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a universe where Pangea separated differently. There's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or didn't.
Or didn't separate.
Or like there's there's like different stories. Like there's the Fallout, which is the universe where they didn't find like regular electricity, and so electricity is like basically like nuclear. Nuclear is like the big one, but things are still like the big like Edison gas tubes and stuff for technology,
Mm-hmm.
and they just ran with it.
There's a universe where dinosaurs, I mean, we're only a few million years after dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So, and they lived for hundreds of millions. So they should still be alive, and they would be still if the meteor never hit,
Yeah.
which means we wouldn't.
No, I think they just left. They got bored.
Yeah. Another example of the many worlds theory is Schrodinger's cat. So do you guys know Schrodinger's cat?
Yep.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically you have this nuclear like proton in a box and you put a cat in it. If this proton does something, a certain thing, the cat dies. If the proton doesn't do that thing, then the cat lives. And you can't see in the box. The only way to determine if the cat is dead or alive is to open the box. So before we open the box, is the cat dead or alive?
We don't know.
And quantum physics says both.
Yeah, every possibility that could happen in the box.
Yeah.
And that also means every dimension that could be is also accessible from the box, because the
Yeah.
box is in superposition.
Weird.
Yeah,
Wacky.
Yeah.
fucking.
So that's the
It
many
is a
worlds.
little wacky.
It's a little fucking wacky, dude.
Yeah.
Welcome to today's lesson. It's wacky.
So the
Shit's
next
weird, man.
theory that I looked up, bubble universes, which this one was hard for me to understand.
Oh, I got it. Everything's made out of bubbles.
Close. And wait, God, didn't they? There was, I don't know, there was a show that definitely did that of like, everything is a bubble. And people were there and there was like pop and they're like, ah, you killed him.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't remember what show it was.
Probably Rick and Morty.
Yeah. So the bubble universe, to explain itself, it goes back to the Big Bang when there was nothing. And then, all of a sudden there was something. And so the first trillionth of a second of existence, there's like this space. And the universe is expanding so quickly, it doubles in size trillions of times every second. So when there was nothing, there was like this extreme heat, bam, and the universe is starting to expand very quickly. Once the universe is expanding at this very quick rate, it's described as an inflation stage.
Ugh, we're already in inflation. Dude, fucking stop.
1 trillion times inflation. Fuck me.
No.
Hello, Venezuela. I think Venezuela had that.
Hi,
know.
Venezuela. How,
Hello,
how you
Venezuela.
doing?
Angel Falls, tallest waterfall in the world.
So at some point, it has this reaction where it cools down and becomes like a normal state. So they almost kind of like believe like our universe right now is expanding at like a normal rate. So it's cooled down and now we're just kind of this expansion of this normal rate. So since this process happens, they think that it can continue even small portions. So even if 99.99% of our universe cools down to a normal rate, there's a part of our universe, that 0.01%, that's still expanding at that extreme rate, creating in itself its own universe.
Jesus Christ.
So you could have this, our universe is just this small bubble within all these universes that are in all around us, basically, that we'll never be able to perceive or react with, or be able to interact with.
And that goes on infinitesimally as well.
Yeah.
Because every 0.01% has a 0.01%.
Yeah.
They kind of touched on that in the second Men in Black. No, was it the first Men in Black? Maybe it was the first Men in Black.
One of the Men in Blacks.
One of the Men in Blacks. I think it was the first one because he was trying to get a cat's collar because this cat had I don't even remember first or second. Anyway, he's trying to get the cat's collar, and the cat's collar was like, the cat was named Orion, and it had this marble thing on its collar.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
turns
Oh,
out
yeah.
that the marble
universe.
was a universe. And at the end, it like zooms out of our universe, and it shows that we're in a marble that these aliens are just fucking playing marbles with.
That was Men in Black.
Yeah. I don't remember which was that the first one?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Which, that
Oh,
in
yeah, that
itself
was the
is
first one.
wild.
Yeah. But that could be true.
Yeah.
How the hell we'd never know.
We have no idea.
Nah. I hope we win the marble game though.
One thing that they noticed is that in these universes, they could have a completely different like form of physics. So those constants could just be completely different. Light could just work differently. Gravity could be non-existent. The fact that this is happening every single second, trillions of times, means that there's near infinite amount of these universes that are being created, and things are just completely different. And so that could also be the same thing where they have a universe that's very similar to ours, but is hundreds of thousands of millions of these bubbles away from us.
Inside of us too.
Yeah, it could even be inside our own universe.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
it's so nuts. And then finally, this one, I'm like, this one makes me like almost afraid because we have like actually like some prediction models about it and stuff, which is they call it shadow matter. So I think we've talked previously about dark matter, which I think you both kind of know dark matter. Dark matter makes up about 80% of the matter in the universe that we have. We know that it's there because we know its gravity from the dark matter is tugging on the stuff around us, like what we can see and perceive. So some theories believe that some of this dark matter might be something that's called shadow matter or mirror matter.
That sounds cool.
And so this has to dive into the world of particle physics. Which,
Wait, is that where Shadow the Hedgehog comes from?
Yes.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool. Now,
So-
now I'm on board.
Okay. So we have some basic particles called protons, neutrons, and electrons that basically make up everything of matter that we know. These can be broken down into two parts, which is up and down quarks. I am not going to be able to explain quarks because I don't understand them. But I'll keep saying words and we'll keep moving on.
They're pretty quirky.
They're very
Smallest
quirky.
known thing in the entire universe.
Yeah. And we have up and down quarks. So there's also, along with this, an electron neutrino that the up and down quark, the electron make up, is this first generation of normal matter. So you have like these like four particles that make up everything in the universe. But there's more.
Oh my God.
So there's a second generation. There's like more generations to these particles that we know exist, but we don't know what they're used for. And so the second generation consists of charm and strange quarks, the muon and the muon neutrino, which is similar to the kind of like what we had with the electron neutrino. We don't see any of these around in normal circumstances. And then we have the third generation, which includes top and bottom quarks, and the tau and tau neutrino, exotic particles that require massive particle accelerators to create. So we know that they exist, and we know ways to be able to create them in a way that we can perceive them. It's just extremely difficult.
You have to shoot a proton at another proton at almost the speed of light
Yeah.
to break the protons apart.
Which is just so these generations are kind of like mirrors of the first generation and the 12 particles that make up the standard model of particle physics. And so this is where the shadow matter starts to come in, is that if we know that these particles that are almost copies of the matter that we can perceive, and then we have these mirrors that we actually can't perceive except for through like gravity or a particle accelerator, then there's a chance that there are these shadow particles that we have no way to perceive. And so since these particles create these things that we know, the planet, the stars, everything, these shadow particles could make shadow planets, shadow stars, shadow galaxies that are inside of our own universe that we aren't able to perceive, and they don't interact with us. So like right now we could have a shadow Earth that is like halfway encapsulating like the Earth around us.
Yeah.
the upside down.
Yeah.
Like actually.
And there's no way for us to perceive it. And so that's why like you see these like shows and stuff where there's like this like alternate dimension that's like combining into Earth, and it looks all scary and different. Like it could be the shadow matter that is finding somehow a way for us to interact with it through these like mirror particles.
That's fucking dope.
Freaky deaky.
Yeah. So it's like all the whole multiverse concept, basically everything around it, like it's kind of crazy because we also have science that is able to explain it in a way that it's there, and there's this possibility of the multiverse and all these things that could be changing and different around us that we just don't have the perception to see. You know, like there's this phenomenon for people phenomena of people that are like, you know, get into like an avalanche or something, or are climbing up a mountain and finding themselves like really tired and delirious, that this person that's like off in the distance is actually, or like even next to them, is talking to them and telling them exactly what to do and helping them get out. And they're like, "Ah, thank you so much." And they turn and there's like no one there, and like the rescuers are like, "Who are you talking to?" And it's like, well, there was this guy.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. He told me to go to the Dagobah system.
There's a near-death experiences is one way. There's also DMT, dimethyl whatever.
Tryptamine.
Yeah.
Tryptamine. The drug. You can apparently people that take it go to the same spot.
It is.
They meet a man with a hood on, or like some entity that feels
like
safe.
Usually a man in a hat. I think.
Man in a hat, and
That's also
they
Benadryl.
dance with you. And
Is that Benadryl?
The hat.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. The Hat Man's
Yeah,
Benadryl. That's the bad one.
Well, what I've heard about DMT is this guy that he's just like a cloak, and he dances with you and takes you to this like village where you like meet people and this whole thing, and everyone has like this very similar story when they do it. And so some people think it's like, I mean, like the gateway to perception of other things is gonna be through changing your perception,
Yeah.
whether that's drugs or NDEs or whatever. It's I don't know. That's the theory. Is like, yeah. I mean, whenever I take acid, like, or mushrooms, I'm like, absolutely, like there is different shit, and I
Yeah.
see that shit, and even the person I am when I take acid, my acid me, and I look in the mirror and I go, oh hey again, like I haven't seen you since last time I took acid, because it is your perception of yourself is entirely different, and that to me feels like a different reality. If your perception is different, why wouldn't it be? So
Yeah.
it might be just changing your brain chemistry.
Who's to say that it's not just you? Like you look in the mirror, it's you because it is a reflection of you. But that's exactly.
It's not
what
the
you
you
said.
it's not the me I know, because the me I know is not. That's not me.
It's not the you're used to.
Exactly. So if your perception's entirely different, that might be something else. But like,
Then that is just changing of your reality.
yeah, in a way, that theory makes sense to me. But
On the inside, outwardly, you're just talking to yourself in a mirror.
outwardly, like what everything looks like from our sober states as humans is the way it looks like that because of our chemical structure in our brain at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's Wi-Fi waves running around that we can't see,
Yeah.
radio waves. There's light spectrums that we just can't see. So, I mean, taking these drugs doesn't make you see those spectrums, but it changes the way your chemical structure in your brain is, and it brings down the hemispheres that communicate. So
are you actually seeing things that are there, or you're?
I don't know.
You're
Maybe all the
thinking
shit
that
you
you're
see
seeing.
is real
Yeah.
from some other, you know.
Yeah, it could be the shadow matter
Yeah.
that you're actually able
Multiverse.
to experience. You know, it could be the multi world theory, this many worlds, and actually the worlds are in a way like combining. And
Like, because
you're
when
able to-
I'm high as shit, and
I'm
I
high as
see the
hell.
tree roots pulsating under the ground, it
Yeah.
looks pretty fucking legit. I'm like, damn, that's what they look like. Maybe I'm, it's trippy. Why does my brain fill that in? And it's not
Right.
something I'm thinking about. It's something that I'm just seeing.
Yeah. Why are you?
I'm not going, I wonder what that would look like, and then going poof, and tripping out on it. It's just there.
Yeah. Why is your brain picking that as your perception?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It's because of the way the LSD binds to certain receptors
Yeah.
and brings down the walls. And
Like I've had that
Yeah.
on mushrooms where, well, at least the first time I took mushrooms, I was looking at graffiti on a brick wall, and the graffiti came towards me, and the grid fell away, and it obviously like I was coming up, so I was like, that shouldn't be doing that. That does not work in this reality. But the more I looked at it, I was like, but that's exactly what's happening.
yeah, exactly.
The grid is falling away. Or we're walking around, I look up, and the sky was like a deep purple. It wasn't black. And there was twice the amount of trees that there were. And I'm like, why is my brain making that my reality? Why am I seeing that? It's just so strange.
The last one episode when I compared LSD and mushrooms, I talked about how on a trip I saw the sky had like a grid to it, and I could see lights bouncing around between the grid. Someone said, "Oh my God, I've seen that too." So it's like
Yeah.
people see similar things. It's like I was saying that during that episode too. It's like brains that if 8 people take mushrooms, their brains are more alike to each other than that brain is alike to their sober self.
Yep. Gerald, the purple giraffe building.
Yeah. So everyone sees very similar
Yeah.
things with certain chemical structures. So
I did just watch a video pretty recently that I think it came out recently, but this guy took DMT and he like for some reason he had a refracted laser on the wall, and he took DMT and like he started looking at this laser and he's like, there's a grid, like imagine the Matrix, all the numbers.
Yeah.
Like there's the Matrix grid in this laser array. He's like, that's really fucking weird. And then him and his buddy did it again, and he was like, he didn't tell him exactly what he saw. He's just like, hey, check this out. This is kind of cool. And he did DMT, and he's looking at his buddy, is looking at the laser, and he's like, I see the Matrix grid.
cool.
And he was like, whoa, what the fuck? So then he did it with like more of his friends and more
Same thing.
people. He just kept doing this without telling them what they're looking for and what to expect. He's just like, what do you perceive? They're like, oh, everybody the same thing. Like, yeah, it's the Matrix.
Bunch of ones and zeros.
It's everything. Everybody's story was dead on.
fucking sick.
Nobody knew about it. And he's like, this is fucking weird. Why? Without people going into, if you go into a trip and you have that kind of state of mind of like, oh, I'm going to see the same thing as this other person because they told me about it, then that makes sense. But 100 people not knowing what to look for and they all see the same exact
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in
wild.
terms of like how many there are of us and how unique we all think we are. If we take a certain chemical, it's going to make all our brains the fucking same.
Yeah.
Almost always.
It's just so
It's just like you're
weird.
and that speaks to like, I don't know, how connected everything is, and that like maybe there's a fucking realm on us, and to access it you got to change your perception somehow.
Yeah.
It's just fucking
Yeah, it's almost like this, like brain, like our brains are like stopping us from seeing it, and then when we change that chemical structure, it just allows it to just like click, and then it's like, all right, now you're able to see this different kind of particle, like the bubble of the universe that's like right next to you actually started to go in a little bit into ours, and so now you see this other universe where the roots actually breathe for the trees rather than the trees like intaking the oxygen. It's more like lungs.
or maybe our Earth has 1,000 Earths stacked on it, each one different. I don't know.
And why does our brain take that away from us in our quote unquote sober state?
Survive.
Well, yeah, but but there's more information. You hear people tripping and then they like find out shit about the universe and themselves, and it's like, is that just too much information to have at one point? Or I guess at all times, not at one point.
I mean, you get anxiety just sober, man. Like, and then drug anxiety is real because you're accessing so much more parts of your hemispheres in your brain, and like
Yeah, it's just
seeing
too much
that,
information.
especially on your first time taking acid, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Because
Just write it out,
the
man.
perception is so like coming out of a different of reality into a new reality. That's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you never experience that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a standard thing.
It's a drug thing.
It's
or a near-death experience or whatever. And
Exactly.
NDEs happen a lot of the time too.
What is that? What is that?
A near-death experience.
Oh,
A lot of the time, the theory is that your body releases DMT when you're about to die.
that's not a theory. It does. It's
Well, it does
releases
when
the
you-
chemical when you're dreaming.
Yeah, and it also releases it when you do die. But
Yes.
they're thinking before you die might also. So
Like
And-
right
and-
before you're about to die.
yeah, well, when your body's like, I'm not sure how those guys were, but like if you're like about to die, your body starts slowly releasing it because it's like, well, go softly.
Good luck to you.
Experience the universe.
Weird.
Yeah, here's a whole other life before you die. Yeah.
Speaking of alternate universes and realities, I have a theory. I want to talk about cryptids.
Ooh, let's
I
get
wanna-
cryptic in the cryptids.
I want to talk about goofy ass creatures that come from different dimensions. Maybe. Okay. So what the hell is a cryptid? I've talked about cryptids before when I talked about the difference between Bigfoot and a Yeti. A Yeti.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as Yeti.
A Yeti or Yeti.
Bigfoot, otherwise known as
Bigfoot.
Foot.
Sam Squamch. So cryptids are creatures or beings that are rumored to exist but have not been scientifically proven. They are often part of folklore and legend, such as Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and the Chupacabra. Cryptozoology is the study of these beings, often blending elements of mythology, anecdotal evidence, and occasional scientific inquiry. So, I have a theory that it's not my own personal theory. It's one I've heard on another podcast I listened to, that Bigfoot, and this comes from the show we watched, The Big Les Show. Bigfoot is a trans-dimensional being. So Bigfoot can travel between all of the dimensions. And so when he shows up and he's in the woods walking away, he's just like, fuck, I'm in the wrong dimension. So he's walking to the other one. Or it's the same with aliens, or when people see, what are those things called? Skinwalkers or something. That's my theory, is that they're trans-dimensional beings. But not all of them. And one of the questions I had when I was thinking about this was, let me pull it up because I wrote it down. Why do people want to believe that they exist? Why do people, what does it do for people to believe in them? You know what I mean? Like, why is somebody out there just like, oh, Bigfoot's real, I know he is?
I think it started when people didn't know anything about science, and
So it came from like ignorance.
I think it all does, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, superstition, the definition I found, it is an ignorant belief, which isn't necessarily, like, we associate ignorance with bad. There's
Like
so much we
stupidity.
don't know.
Yeah. Ignorance is not stupidity.
It's not stupidity. It's just the lack of understanding of something,
Yeah.
so you try to make it make sense yourself.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. And I mean, like, maybe in the 14th century or 12th century, someone's daughter was taken and they saw the creature, and so that started the story. You know?
Yeah, and it was just a hairy dude.
Yeah.
That was creepy as fuck.
Or a bear.
Or a
Fucking
bear.
Jib.
Yeah, and got torn off. Well, there's all kinds of stories about that, and like almost every creature you can think of in cryptid has its roots in it's all like story based. Like, I think it's not Sasquatch, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a native tale about a lady. Like, if the kids wander off into the woods at night, this lady will snatch you up and put you in her backpack and then eat you or whatever. And
The Tooth Fairy.
the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, but like that stems from just tales of, is it like, you know, you want to tell your kid, don't go off into the woods and get lost. And that's like the kid is like, oh, fuck that. I'm not going to get lost. Like, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to tell a kid
Yeah.
a story and be like, well, there's a boogeyman out there and he'll
Yeah.
get you, because you can't argue against that in your own head. You're like, fuck, I don't know if there's a boogeyman out there.
I mean, yeah, you see it now in everyday life. Like, why can't I use my phone, Mom? I'm at dinner. Because if you use your phone, your brain's going to literally rot. People
Yeah.
say, like, they say things to get kids to stop doing things all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So it's just like
my
fairy tales.
my buddy's mom, when he was younger, told him that he couldn't have his hand out the window because someone is going to come by and chop it off.
Jesus.
I'm like, oh my God.
So then the story, 800 years later, yeah, if you put your arms out the windows, people chop your arms off.
Yeah. Well, there's stories of people
know?
like hanging their foot out the window and then it gets ripped off because they get in a fucking accident.
Yeah.
So I don't do that,
yeah.
but it's not the likelihood of somebody running up and chopping off your arm as you're sitting in traffic is slim to none.
Yeah, but when you're an
I'd say.
elementary school kid, it's like, okay.
Yeah, you're never gonna do it.
Yeah,
you hear that
exactly.
story, you're like, oh fuck. I
So
don't
maybe
wanna
they
be
are
that guy.
just stories. But I mean, I mean, now it's hard to look back and like, no, but now adults are like, Bigfoot's real. Like some people.
Some people are. Some people, well, that's true. It's a spectrum too. Some people are like, that's stupid. There's no way anything like that could ever exist. And then there's the next step. People are like, well, you know, I can't really say whether it does or it doesn't. I don't have any evidence against or for the fact, but like, maybe, who am I to say? And then next
Yeah.
to that is like somebody who's like, I've seen him. He does exist.
And then there's a thing where it's like going with the whole dimensional thing and being him. If he is, and according to cryptic mythology, he is a trans-dimensional being.
yeah.
You can't argue against that. And
No.
if you do believe in other dimensions, which I do,
Yeah.
do I believe in like teleportation between them? I don't fucking know. I've been here for 29 years.
Well, we can't do it, but Bigfoot can.
Like, there's millions and billions of years of history in the universes, and like, dude,
not
who
according
the
to some
fuck
people.
knows?
Not according to them
Who the
religions.
fuck knows? I've taken drugs and I've seen some weird shit, and I don't know if I have no idea what exists. So I mean, I think the people who are like, I saw him look at this grainy video, I'm like, Jesus Christ. But maybe they're right.
Yeah, maybe
Like,
they're right.
people believe in the Mayan calendar, and people still believe that it happened in some other universe. So
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it could have.
if,
yeah. I just thought it was funny that that second level is like, it could be real. It's just like, what religion do you follow? Oh, I'm agnostic.
it's agnostic.
Oh,
I don't know.
Like, you don't really believe in God? No, Bigfoot, like, might be, but I don't know.
But see, yeah, I've always gotten that. Like, I am atheist in the sense that like I don't think that like the Judo-Christian, like I don't believe in that shit. I also don't believe in the 1,000 gods and the Hindu religion. I don't believe in a lot of things, but I don't
Do you
know.
believe in yourself?
Believe in myself a little bit, but it's like I don't know. I think that there are dimensions, and I think that there's some weird shit. And the Egyptians built pyramids, and parts of us have Neanderthal in us.
Yeah.
It's just it's weird, and I don't think that Bigfoot exists. And if he does, he's not from our planet, because there's no proof of it.
Well,
He came from the asteroid.
He could be. That's another theory, is that he
Yeah.
is Gigantopithecus. It's like a species of large ape back in prehistoric times that, like, even though no other animal besides like sharks and alligators and shit survived, no dinosaur survived, somehow the Gigantopithecus did. But there's like one of them, and he lives in Washington's woods.
Yeah.
Well, that's the theory is there's one, but I mean, if it's a species, there's got to be more than one.
Yeah, and there has to be. And there's stories.
And the
of-
speciation into being the Yeti too probably started as the Gigantopithecus or whatever the fuck, and then speciated into multiple species because of different tundra or terrain and
There's different terrain, different environment, and there's different, like, there's you go to like Louisiana, they have, I think they have the skunk ape, or Florida or something. They have the
Yeah, I
skunk
mean,
ape.
if you
So
got
it's the same idea, but
if
it's
you get
just
black
their
people and white people and Asian people, you can have different types of fucking Bigfoot if it's one species,
Yeah,
So I mean, just depends where you live.
you got Cajun people, like
Cajun.
Cajun people that they think there's a beast called the Rougarou, which is a werewolf, pretty much. Rougarou.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's not cute when you look at it, but
People
people think
bring it up.
you can try to look at a Rougarou.
dude.
It's just a giant fucking thing.
Took my dog out to hold on. Took my dog
Yeah,
out
no, go
to
ahead.
Nugent's corner today.
Yeah.
He's running around, and this fucking wolf came out of the woods, and I looked. This guy had a wolf, and I was like, holy shit! And my dog usually runs up and plays with other dogs. He just stood there and looked at him, and this dog just walked up next to him. They were like side to side, like butt to tail. It was like looking at each other like sideways, and my dog was just like looking at him,
Like-
and he never.
Oh fuck!
And I was like, what kind of dogs you got? And he's like 3/4 red wolf, the rest Siberian husky. I was like, holy shit. And I've never seen my dog just sit there like that.
He knew.
He's like, yeah, the pheromones in the wolf, the smells are different. So he's probably like,
He's like-
he knows.
Damn.
Yeah, he was just sitting there looking at him.
Father?
Fucking had a wolf off the leash just hanging out. I was like, holy shit. And he was like, "Rrrr," like super deep growl. My
Yeah.
dog was just like,
Damn.
hello.
Well, that's like
So
how
sick,
wolves
though.
communicate, is through growls and barks and
Yeah.
snarling and stuff. And so it may look like they're being ferocious, but really they're just being
No, yeah. He
What's
didn't,
up?
Like,
didn't have his teeth out or anything, but it was
Yeah.
like, damn, dude, like crystal blue eyes, red wolf, coolest thing.
Oh, that's
I
so
found
pretty.
the Rougarou.
the Rougarou. Ooh,
Damn, spooky.
creepy. Yeah, so it's like lichen or a werewolf. Werewolf. Kind of creepy.
Oh.
Creepy. Where'd it go?
Okay.
Oh.
I was still looking.
Sorry,
okay.
it doesn't want to look anymore.
Oh, there it
we
is.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. It's just sometimes it's like werewolf man, more wolf in some parts.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, this is terrifying.
The one on the right.
But are
Wow.
those stories, like, sometimes they could be based on religious stories handed down, or just stories in general handed down, or like I don't remember the name of it, but there was a story about there's a man-eating tiger in India. I think it was like 1910 or something like that. But people were scared of this thing because they're like, it's a beast, it's wild, and it is to a certain extent. But like it killed over 200 people.
Yeah.
They just started eating people, and they're like, oh well, it's this malicious beast that's going after humans because it hates them and wants to kill them all off. But the truth was, it broke a tooth, and so it couldn't catch, or like a couple teeth, so it couldn't catch normal game and kill it, because like whatever, the elephants and shit that it goes after, it can't do it. So it was like, oh, I'll just eat humans because they're slow and they're there. It's like if we stopped eating food and we're like, fuck, all we can eat because I broke a tooth is worms. So they just started eating worms. And so that's one explanation, is like, oh, there's a scary giant tiger that's a man eater. It's like, no, it just is eating people because it can't fucking kill anything.
Yeah.
And so there's tons of stories all over the place of, like, I think anthropomorphic, kind of like the Rougarou, or there's a cougar one that's like, it's got 4 legs like a cougar, but then has 2 more set of arms and like 2 heads or something. It's kind of cool looking, but that started probably because back in the day there was this cougar that broke a tooth or broke a claw or something that could only attack and hunt people.
And it grew arms.
And it grew arms because, like,
Yeah,
well, yeah, and if you're being attacked by this creature, like, you're not processing what's going on. You're not, like, this creature isn't on top of you, and you're like, okay, so he's a little whiter on the underside.
And think about human nature, our boastful urge, and how much we
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. It is fun to tell a story.
inflate stories. Even when you go down, like, dude, I got this chick, dude, holy shit, bro, dude. And then it's just not, like, it's a totally different thing. Or
Yeah.
like,
Where you're
dude,
just
I
trying to
saw this,
impress
like,
people.
even my story, like, this wolf. I mean, it was big. It wasn't the size of a fucking wolf. It was big, though. But it's like,
yeah,
and maybe in your head, you're like, oh, dude, Keenan saw a wolf. And you tell somebody else, and he's like, dude, there was a wild wolf out there. And then, like, it just
Right.
gets inflated, and it's a game of telephone, and hundreds of years of stories and shit. Like, you know.
and so it all comes from stories.
Yeah.
But, like, it's fun to try to think about where these are
originating
from, and it's not always the same. Like, Skinwalker is a Skinwalker is a big one that it's rooted in, like, native mythology, that Skinwalkers were well, I don't want to get into it because it's really creepy and depressing, but basically really
Cool.
bad people that did really bad things, and they were turned into this sort of witch that could transform into these different creatures. And basically they're like invulnerable, and they just do spooky shit and like attack people, but you can't fucking kill them. And they have like certain smells, and so it's just like a smell of death on this creature, but it's like a giant black wolf or something. And people have seen them, and people are like, yeah, I mean, they're real. And one of the big things is Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, there's a fucking ranch named after it, where there are stories of and dedicated evidence showing that, like, these exist. These things happen. There's so many different people, cryptozoologists, have been to Skinwalker Ranch, and over the years they're like, yeah, man, I saw I seen it in there. And it's usually people that they go to these sites and they're like, this is stupid. Like, I'm going to debunk this. I'm just going because it's like, you guys say you saw orbs, like, you're full of shit. You guys are just fucking bum hill folk that are like, I seen it out there. And they go out there and they're like, oh my God, they have a sense of like unimaginable terror. And there's a few stories of people like going insane and leaving the place and like running away in the middle of the night because they're like, there is an evil force here.
Wow.
There is something not normal. And so, like, it may be based in, cryptids may be based in story or different fairy tales, but it could also be based in real life interactions where people are like, there's a fucking Skinwalker out there.
I mean, and fear goes so far too. Your mind fills itself
True.
with so many things.
And it's not good to feed into the fear because
Yeah.
you just keep getting deeper into the fear.
Yeah.
Like I've been to haunted houses who have stories, or like a real place that is supposed to be haunted. I've been to places like that, and you read the stories before you go, and then you like convince yourself like fuck. Like
Yeah,
there was one in Hawaii.
It puts you in the state of mind.
There was this abandoned hospital, and the story was that there was like babies burned in these kilns, and then we walked behind it. It was at night. It was fucking actually really terrifying. And it was at night, and we walked to this. We just couldn't find the place where they're talking about. But we walked behind this like really old abandoned building, and there was it was huge. Like really big. It was crazy. It was a big old abandoned hospital in the woods. Overgrown, freaky. Look up to a corner of one of these rooms is like 80 feet up, and there's a fucking light on. And it's like a room with like a bunch of like plastic, like serial killer fucking plastic around the whole room. And I was like, what the fuck? And we kind of we're like, fuck this. And
That was just an episode of Dexter.
I was gonna say.
No, dude, it was so spooky. But and then I was like half expecting someone to pop up. Like, damn, we're dead. You know what I mean? But like, we walked behind this building and did like a loop, and kind of were starting to freak out, and kind of got stuck in these like bushes and stuff. And then probably like a quarter mile back into the woods, maybe not quite, but we saw the kilns in this old like burnt down building. We saw a bunch of kilns with ashes in them. I was like, yeah, I'm down to go. And if you ask me, like, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's possible. So it's like, dude, yeah, the fear you get from that shit, and like the way it just fills your mind, and like, I don't know. I mean, like witches, people believed they were real until late 1800s or past that, you know.
But that kind of comes from stupidity and the fact that everybody was
Ignorance.
tripping balls on ergot
Yeah.
without them knowing it.
Yeah.
So-
And
Yeah, I just think cryptids are fucking fascinating. Like all the different kind of creatures, and like maybe, you know, how some people are like, oh, well, Sasquatch is cool because he brings me berries every 3 weeks. And it's like some little old lady in the woods who like, yeah, berries just show up on her doorstep and she doesn't know any better. And it's like, oh, it's Bigfoot. Or it's like, oh, another guy like Bigfoot tore the face off of my brother, so I don't trust him. Like, I just like everybody's different point of views and stories.
or like, I saw a Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, I saw a
It's
Loch Ness
giant
monster.
piece of floating kelp.
Yeah, or like it's a fucking eel, or you know, something. But like you said, people just inflate these stories because they're like, well, if I tell people I saw a piece of kelp in the water, they're not going to be like, let's fucking
Well,
cool.
they might, you know, maybe they believe it. It's like if you didn't know about any of these cryptids and then you saw this shit happen, you would never assume that's what it was or think that's what it was. Your
No.
mind would not tell you that was a giant floating monster in the water.
You'd be like, what the
Rock
fuck was
or kelp
that?
or something. So it's the bias of the stories in your head in the first place.
Yeah, and it's, do you want to believe it's rock or kelp, or do you want to believe it's something more fantastical?
I mean, somebody made the first story, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But it's like going back to the superstition too. It's like you didn't think that's not an original thought. Like that was told by you or told to you by somebody.
right.
And
It
then now
all
you believe
stems
that.
from
And then
something else.
these scientists who, you know, are dead set that there's other fucking universes, which scientifically they theorize that it would make sense. It's like the pessimistic view on all of that is just like, maybe we're just humans and we're reaching for more meaning.
Yeah.
You know, like, I
Right.
don't know. It's,
And we're just here to do taxes.
we're just here because we're here. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But
Like there is no point, or yeah, I guess it's kind of searching for more meaning in their life.
It seems like the theme of all of this is like searching for meaning. Why are we here? What's
Yeah.
going on? What does it mean? And then like filling in everything, filling in all of our ignorance, and most of life is ignorance because we don't know what the fuck we're doing here.
Yeah.
Our only thing we know is this societal shit we made up. Everything
Right.
else, like spirituality, why we're here. If all of us were just placed here with no prior understanding, we would all be so lost.
Yeah.
And we are. And when you don't think about societal constructs and you like drop all that, we are all lost. So it's like, gotta come up with something.
Yeah, we kind of just like come into this world and we're like, okay, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm just
And their parents are
Here.
like, oh, here's some stories, here's some this and that, and then play some sports and watch some things, and
this is what
now
normal
you're not
people
as
do.
ignorant because you have these fake things to believe in.
Right. When you're like, oh, so you're saying that we should give babies DMT as soon as they pop out?
I don't know.
They
the
put them in
shot.
they put them in those little like the clear, you know, baby carrier things in the hospital and just like fog the room with DMT.
Yeah, there's another universe where humans never developed language. I don't know, and we never communicated, never built things, and we're all just running around with drugs,
Yeah.
no money, just I don't know,
In mushrooms.
just eat mushrooms like we used to.
Well, it's a lot of like shamans do that too,
Mm-hmm.
or did that. Like
Sometimes
that's
still do.
sometimes still do. Yeah, but that's kind of like how they get their stories of people that are like back in the day. You know, why are we in the jungle eating iguanas right now? And the shaman's like, because the sky's purple, and you're like, what? But it's an answer to a question that we'll never get an answer to.
Yeah, drugs are the answer to that. Religion's the answer to
No,
that.
I don't know if we should say drugs are the
No,
answer.
people take drugs for an answer for that. People do religion, or partake in religion for an answer.
Yeah.
People partake in science
For
and trying to
something.
break understanding of current universal norms for understanding of all. It's just people make up cryptids because they want to fucking believe in something like that.
Yeah, because they just want some sort of understanding. But it's the same as like trying to count the infinite number of universes that we have.
Mhm.
You will never get a direct answer.
Yeah.
You will never get an answer to what is life and if this shit exists or it doesn't. You're never going to get an answer.
Yeah, I mean, even if the top scientists are all in unison and agreement, there is multi-dimensional things going on. Like, we know it. Well, we haven't seen it. We know it because we did proof studies, but I mean, the reality we live in is never going to change based on that.
No,
It just makes you believe in something.
It's hard for people to believe that.
And even if they said all the cryptids are real, but nobody ever saw a cryptid still, it's like, it's just, yeah, we're all like trying to,
Yeah.
just really trying to figure something out. that
We're
makes
all just
sense.
trying to find, exactly like you
Yeah.
said. This whole episode is just like we're trying to find meaning
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
to a
making sense.
question.
Making
Why
sense
the
of the
fuck
unknown.
am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're just born and you're like, what the fuck?
What? What is a life?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a baby. What the fuck is a baby?
And in a very short time, you will be old and die. What?
What?
Hey,
so do your taxes.
Yeah. Stop throwing shit. Do your taxes.
Stop throwing shit and do your taxes.
Buy a box and live in it, please.
Yeah.
Give us money for it.
Well, that kind of reminds me of that reminds me a lot of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Yeah.
where there's a scene.
What is the answer to the universe?
Yeah,
Or what is the point
number
of it?
42.
Yeah,
But
I mean-
there's a scene that I remember where they use the infinite probability drive, and for some reason, because there's like these two missiles that are coming towards the ship, and right when they hit the drive, there's an infinite number of probabilities that could happen, and it just so happens that one of the missiles turns into a pot of flowers, and just like bounces off the ship, and the other one turns into a blue whale, and so this whale just like comes into existence, and is like, oh hey, well, what am I doing here? Well, okay, well, this is fun. What is this like rushing sound that's going past me? It's kind of a wow, whoosh, wind. I'll call it wind. And so it's this blue whale that's trying to figure out like what the fuck is happening because he just came into existence, and then he hits the ground.
Mm.
He's just like dead.
Yeah, that's life.
That's life. You're just like, okay.
I love that movie, actually. That's a good book.
It's a great book. I love the audiobooks narrated by Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry's got a great voice. Highly recommend it. Watch the movie too. It's really great.
Yeah, I'll put it on my list.
So long and thanks for all the fish. That's what the dolphins said. They left the earth.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because dolphins are super smart and they're like, yeah, some shit's going down. We better boogie on out of here.
All right, hit the rockets.
Yeah. No, they just fly away.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
They're just space dolphins. They can fly. They can swim in space. So, why not? Yeah.
I don't know.
Highly recommend. Yeah, that was fun.
Fun episode. Very also kind of depressing, but also cool.
Well, if you look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think for me, it's like the pessimistic views usually like win for me because I'm like, well, probably.
Mm.
But then I'm like, nah, it's just so much cooler than that. It's not that I don't believe in that or believe in that. It's that like I'll never know, and it's just like, that's sad.
I don't know. I think it's also
Sure.
kind of the beautiful thing of it is that we may never know, but we also don't need to know.
We don't think we need to know.
I mean,
That's also the only answer there is. So it's content. You don't need to know.
yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
Well, yeah, but like, what's the point in worrying about it if we're never gonna know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why
Like, it
you
doesn't
shouldn't,
do
but-
anything except you're sitting there in anxiety your
Mhm.
whole life, wondering, what the fuck are we doing here? Why am I doing my taxes?
Well, I mean, you either do that or you look for answers.
Shout out to taxes.
You like
can't wait
taxes.
to do mine.
I know I keep talk. It's because it's a human thing. Human do taxes.
I don't mind doing the taxes. I just hate paying the taxes all year and then getting back what I should have had in the first place, but still losing 30% of my
Well,
money.
what gets me,
God.
it's so stupid that it's like, I'm the IRS. You have to do your taxes. I know exactly how much you owe.
Yeah, other
but
countries,
you have to figure it out. I
other
can't tell
countries
you.
are like, what are you doing? Why don't I just do it for you?
Yeah, which they do. They're like, you owe this much.
They want,
Or we're gonna
because they
give
don't
you this
believe in
much.
us. They don't believe our honesty.
No, not at all.
They want to see if somebody's going to commit fraud so they can tax them more.
So it's all just
Put
a
'em in jail.
ploy
Yeah.
to. All right, this is a conspiracy theory podcast. Taxes is a cryptid.
Taxes are fucked up, dude. It's like, let me buy a new car and pay 8%, and then when I sell it, you pay 8% on what I pay,
Yeah,
or what I'm selling it for, and then when you sell it, you pay 8% on that.
that's why I buy my vehicles in cash.
And now Keenan is a
Still
libertarian.
have to pay taxes.
No,
You have
You
to
don't have to-
register your vehicle.
no, you don't. You only register when
Right,
you
you
get
just don't
caught.
do it. Fuck it.
Don't take
Guys.
life advice from me.
Pay your taxes. I want a job, okay?
I have to pay my taxes.
Yeah, thank you. I'll build you a road.
No,
Thanks.
no comment. I have a dirt bike. I can travel on not roads.
Yeah, I have a car that's lifted. I don't need the nicest roads in the world. I take it back. I
All
take
right.
it.
Well, hey, when the big earthquake comes,
Yeah. Nah, fuck
come
it.
crying to me.
Dude,
Oh,
how
no, I'll
crazy
be
would it be
fine.
though if we could like each state could vote like, okay, how nice of roads do you want? Because we don't have to do that much taxes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do that. It's called living in a state with not that many taxes, and then they
Yeah.
don't fix the roads.
Yeah, pretty nice roads.
Yeah, like how they fixed that intersection just up the road from us on James Street, and then as soon as you go through that, the road's fucked.
Yeah.
Like the whole section of road is like you've got just potholes and shit. You're like, wow. I like how you fixed the part that didn't need to be fixed.
I know.
Like, very cool, guys.
They're like, we put sidewalks on this side street, and it's like, cool. What about the rest of the street?
Yeah.
What about it?
Yeah.
The cars
about-
are gonna bounce off into the people.
Yeah.
Good
No,
job.
I know. That's so strange that they put. I get it. Like, there's housing there, but people walk on the side of James Street. People bike on the side of James Street. Like,
They shouldn't.
they shouldn't, because you're right there. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
get clocked by some dude with a big ass Dodge truck who's got his fucking tow mirrors out. You're gonna get nailed in the head. Like, why would you do that? But it just is weird that they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Wanted to
could go
put a
into
thing
it, but I think that's good thing for another episode.
That's a
yeah,
great
I don't want to
thing
talk
for
about
another
roads right now. You're the tax man. I don't want to talk about taxes.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this special episode of What's the Diff.
Thanks,
Next week,
guys.
we will be discussing 3 similar topics that are slightly different that we will come up with in the meantime. Have an opinion on something we've already discussed? Want to hear one of your topics debated? You can connect with us at what'sthediff.net. Leave us a text or a voicemail at 802-884-3553. Bitch. Or send a voice clip to us at hellowhat'sthediff@gmail.com.
We were focused on poking the invisible goose. and-
Don't
and
poke
duck.
don't
Geeses.
poke the butt of the goose in the duck.
Gorses. Cool. That was fun. I hope this didn't like depress people.
It's cool.
Look at it in a good way. Yeah, maybe you'll never know what the answer is to life.
You
but
won't.
You won't. But
You know what? In another universe, you will.
But
Go-
you can
go
watch
have
Harry
fun.
Potter and believe that that is cooler because it is.
Yeah.
And that's the life that we wish we had,
exactly.
which it isn't. But also, Voldemort didn't kill your family, so
I
that's
mean,
cool too.
just don't worry about shit. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Go
Go have fun, do drugs, do your taxes.
commit tax fraud.
And on that note,
All right.
bye.
Bye.